Just months ago, I was scrubbing floors through tears, serving the husband who stole everything and his young mistress. They never knew the discarded old wife was collecting their secrets every night. I had to survive. With my last shred of dignity, I would return their debt in the most painful way. Time to begin the game. Let me tell you how it all started in Chapter 1. The brass doorknob felt cold under my palm. My doorknob. My house. Yet here I stood in a gray maid's uniform, waiting to be let into what had been my home for 35 years. The March wind cut through the thin fabric as I pressed the service bell.
Oh, it's you. You're late. We have guests coming at 7.
Tiffany stood in the doorway wearing the silk robe I'd received for my 50th birthday. Behind her, I could see the living room I'd decorated, now gutted and redone in stark white and gold. Everything that had been warm was now cold. Everything that had been mine was now hers.
The bus was delayed. I'll start on the kitchen right away.
She didn't respond, just turned and walked away, her heels clicking on the Italian marble that had replaced my grandmother's hardwood floors. I followed her inside, each step a small death. In the kitchen, Walter sat reading his tablet, a cup of coffee at his elbow, the same morning ritual we'd shared for decades. Except now, I was the one serving the coffee.
Coffee's cold, Bea. Make a fresh pot.
No good morning, no acknowledgement that I was a person. Just an order. I took the pot, noting how his hands shook slightly. Too much bourbon last night, no doubt. The executive meetings he claimed to attend always ended with bourbon. I'd cleaned up after enough of them.
Right away.
As I worked, they talked over me like I was furniture.
The Petersons are coming tonight. You know how she judges everything. Make sure you use the good china.
The good china? You mean Bea's grandmother's set?
It's mine now, honey. Everything here is mine now.
She leaned over to kiss him, making sure I could see. Her perfume, something French and expensive, made my stomach turn. Or maybe it was the way Walter's hand moved to her waist, the same gesture he'd once reserved for me. I focused on grinding the coffee beans. The noise drowned out their murmuring, but not my thoughts. $200. That's what I had left after paying for the room I rented above the Chinese restaurant on Maple Street. The divorce settlement that Walter's lawyer had called generous wouldn't cover my blood pressure medication this month. The coffee maker gurgled to life. I set the fresh pot on the table, careful not to make eye contact. Eye contact made me real, and they preferred me invisible.
Oh, Bea, the upstairs bathroom needs attention. Tiffany thinks there's mold.
It's disgusting. I don't know how you lived like that for so long.
There was no mold. I'd kept this house immaculate for 35 years, but I nodded and headed upstairs, grateful to escape them. The bathroom sparkled, as I knew it would, but I sprayed and scrubbed anyway, letting the repetitive motion calm my racing heart. Through the window, I could see the garden. My roses were dying. Tiffany had fired the gardener to save money, she'd said, though her weekly spa visits cost more than his monthly salary. I moved to the master bedroom to gather laundry. The bed where I'd slept for decades was now covered in designer sheets I'd never have chosen. The dresser held her things where mine had been. But there, in the corner, sat Walter's old filing cabinet. The one he thought was locked. He'd forgotten I knew where he hid the spare key. Under the ceramic frog in his study, some habits never change. I stood there, staring at that cabinet, my heart pounding. Not yet, I told myself. Not yet. Downstairs, their voices drifted up through the vents. Walter was on the phone, his business voice on.
No problems with the acquisition. My ex-wife, God no, she never understood the business side. Signed everything I put in front of her.
A laugh, then something that stopped me cold.
Stupid woman never even knew I moved half our assets offshore 5 years ago. By the time the divorce went through, there was nothing left to split.
The laundry basket slipped from my numb fingers. Sheets scattered across the floor as I sank to my knees, not to clean, but to keep from screaming. 5 years. He'd been planning this for 5 years. I gathered the sheets mechanically, my mind racing. Every late night at the office, every weekend business trip, every document he'd had me sign without reading. It all made sense now. That evening, as I served dinner to the Petersons, I watched them all laugh at Walter's stories about his success. Patricia Peterson, who'd been my friend, now looked through me like I was wallpaper. Her husband, James, kept checking his phone, probably embarrassed by the situation.
Beatrice, we need more wine.
I fetched it, noting how Tiffany had already had 3 glasses. Her words were starting to slur. Walter didn't notice, or didn't care. He was too busy bragging about his latest deal.
The key to success is knowing when to cut the dead weight. Sometimes you have to make hard choices.
Dead weight? Is that what 35 years of marriage had been? As I cleared the plates, Patricia Peterson finally looked at me. Really looked. For a moment, I saw pity in her eyes. Then she looked away, taking another sip of wine from my grandmother's crystal glasses. After the guests left, I cleaned in silence while Walter and Tiffany retired upstairs. Through the ceiling, I could hear their footsteps, their laughter, then other sounds I tried to block out. I was putting away the last of the china when I saw it, Tiffany's laptop, left open on the counter. The screen showed an email to someone named Derek. "Just a few more months, baby. Once I get the insurance sorted, we can be together." Insurance? I leaned closer, but footsteps on the stairs made me jump back. Tiffany appeared, swaying slightly.
Still here? Don't you have somewhere to be?
Just finishing up.
She grabbed her laptop, snapping it shut, but not before I saw her look of panic. She knew I'd seen something.
You can go now. And Beatrice, maybe it's time we discussed whether this arrangement is working out.
A threat, clear and simple.
Of course, Mrs. Hicks. Whatever you think is best.
I gathered my things and left through the service entrance. The March night was cold, but my anger burned hot. They thought they'd broken me, turned me into nothing. But they'd made a mistake. They'd made me invisible. And invisible women see everything. That night, in my small room above the restaurant, I pulled out an old notebook and began to write. Dates, times, conversations, account numbers I'd glimpsed, Tiffany's email to Derek, Walter's confession about the offshore accounts. My hand cramped around the pen, but I kept writing. They'd taken my home, my money, my dignity, but they'd given me something else without knowing it. They'd given me opportunity. Tomorrow, I would go back. I would clean their house and serve their meals. I would be invisible, and I would begin to take back what was mine. April rain drummed against the windows of the Riverside Diner. I sat in the back booth, warming my hands on a cup of coffee I couldn't afford, waiting for a ghost from my past. Silas Blackwood had agreed to meet me, though his voice on the phone had been wary. We hadn't spoken in 10 years, not since Walter had helped destroy his career. The bell above the door chimed. Silas looked older, grayer, but his eyes were still sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses. He spotted me and hesitated before walking over, his cane tapping against the linoleum.
Beatrice, you look...
Like a woman who cleans toilets for her ex-husband, because that's what I am.
He sat down heavily, signaling the waitress for coffee.
I heard about the divorce. I'm sorry.
Don't be. I'm not here for sympathy. I need your help.
I pulled out my notebook, sliding it across the table. He flipped through it, his expression growing darker with each page.
Offshore accounts. Shell companies. Tax evasion. Beatrice, this is...
Silas closed the notebook, pushing it back to me.
I can't get involved in this. I'm 71 years old. I've got heart problems. I just want to live quietly.
They took everything from both of us. Walter stood there in court and testified against you, knowing you were right. He destroyed your reputation to protect his business partners.
And look what fighting back got me. No one would hire me. My wife left. I lost everything.
The waitress refilled his coffee. We sat in silence until she moved away.
I found something else. Tiffany is planning something with the insurance. I think she might be planning to hurt Walter.
That got his attention.
What kind of insurance?
Life insurance. She's been corresponding with someone named Derek about it. And last week, I saw her putting something in Walter's coffee. He's been complaining about headaches, dizziness.
Silas stared at me for a long moment.
You could go to the police.
With what? The word of a bitter ex-wife who works as their maid? They'd laugh me out of the station, but with documented evidence of Walter's financial crimes?
You want to use one crime to expose another.
I want justice for both of us.
He picked up the notebook again, studying my notes more carefully.
These account numbers, if they're real, we're talking about millions in tax evasion. The IRS would be very interested.
But I need proof, real documentation. That's where you come in.
Silas laughed bitterly.
I'm a disgraced accountant living on Social Security. What makes you think I can help?
Because you still have contacts, because you know how to read financial documents, and because you want to see Walter pay just as much as I do.
He was quiet for so long I thought he'd refuse. Then he sighed.
What do you need?
I can get into his home office, I can photograph documents, but I need someone who can analyze them, build a case that even the IRS can't ignore.
That's dangerous, Beatrice. If he catches you...
He won't. I'm invisible, remember? The help doesn't exist unless something needs cleaning.
Silas pulled out a small notebook of his own, jotting down notes.
We'll need bank statements, tax returns going back at least 5 years, any correspondence about the offshore accounts. Can you get those?
He keeps everything in a locked filing cabinet, but I know where the key is.
This isn't just about revenge, is it? You need the money.
I looked down at my coffee, ashamed.
I can't afford my medication. I'm behind on rent. If I lose this maid job, I'll be on the street. So yes, if proving Walter hid assets during the divorce means I can recover what's mine, then I need the money.
Silas reached across the table, touching my hand gently.
We'll get him, Beatrice. Both of them.
2 days later, I stood in Walter's study, my heart pounding so hard I was sure it could be heard downstairs. Walter was at the office. Tiffany was at her Pilates class. I had exactly 1 hour. The ceramic frog grinned at me as I retrieved the key. My hands shook as I opened the filing cabinet. Inside, everything was meticulously organized. Walter had always been obsessive about his records. Tax returns from 2019 to 2024. I photographed each page with the cheap smartphone Silas had given me. Bank statements showing regular transfers to accounts in the Cayman Islands. Letters from someone named Marcus Webb about restructuring assets for maximum protection. Then I found it, a folder marked Property Holdings, containing deeds to 3 rental properties I'd never known about. Properties purchased during our marriage with what should have been community assets. My phone buzzed. A text from Silas. Get out. Tiffany's car just passed my street. I shoved everything back, locked the cabinet, replaced the key. I was in the kitchen washing dishes when Tiffany walked in, gym bag over her shoulder.
The house smells like coffee. Did you make coffee?
Just having my lunch break, Mrs. Hicks.
She walked closer, studying me with those cold blue eyes.
You were upstairs. I can hear when someone walks in Walter's study. The floor creaks.
I was cleaning the bathroom like every Tuesday.
She grabbed my wrist suddenly, her nails digging in.
I know you saw my email last month. If you think you can blackmail me or cause trouble, you're wrong. 1 word from me and Walter fires you. Then where will you be? A 57-year-old woman with no skills and no references.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She released my wrist, leaving red marks.
Good. Keep it that way. Now get back to work.
That evening, I met Silas at his apartment, a cramped studio above a pawn shop. He'd set up a card table with his laptop, and we went through the photos together.
This is incredible. He's been laundering money through these rental properties, claiming losses while actually profiting. And these offshore accounts? Beatrice, there's at least $3 million here.
$3 million that should have been part of our marital assets.
We need more. We need to show a pattern, prove intent. Can you get into his computer?
He keeps it password protected.
I have something for that.
He handed me a small USB device.
Plug this in for 30 seconds. It'll copy his keystrokes and send them to me. We'll have his passwords within a week.
This is illegal, isn't it?
So is tax evasion and hiding assets during a divorce. The question is, how far are you willing to go?
I thought about my empty refrigerator, my unpaid medical bills, the humiliation of serving coffee to the man who'd stolen my life.
As far as it takes.
The next morning brought an unexpected complication. Walter was working from home, and he seemed agitated. He kept rubbing his temples, complaining about headaches.
Tiffany, did you change coffee brands? This tastes off.
It's the same organic blend we always buy, honey. Maybe you're just stressed about the Peterson deal.
I watched her pour him another cup, adding sugar and cream. But I saw something else. A quick movement, something dropped in when she stirred. Walter drank it without suspicion. Within an hour, he was dizzy, nauseous. Tiffany played the concerned wife perfectly.
You should lie down. I'll cancel your meetings.
No, I need to review those contracts.
The contracts can wait. Your health is more important.
She helped him upstairs, and I heard the bedroom door close. This was my chance. I slipped into the study and plugged the USB into his computer. The 30 seconds felt like 30 years. Device removed, I was back in the kitchen when Tiffany came downstairs.
He's resting. Beatrice, I need you to pick up his prescription from the pharmacy.
She handed me a prescription slip. The medication name made me pause. It was a blood thinner, dangerous if mixed with certain substances. I thought about what I'd seen her put in his coffee.
Of course, Mrs. Hicks.
At the pharmacy, I made a decision. I asked the pharmacist about drug interactions, claiming it was for my elderly mother. He gave me a pamphlet listing dangerous combinations. What Tiffany was doing could cause internal bleeding if continued long enough. She wasn't just planning to leave Walter. She was planning to kill him. That night, I called Silas.
We need to move faster. Tiffany's poisoning Walter, slowly but surely.
Then go to the police.
Not yet. If Walter dies, Tiffany gets everything. The house, the business, the hidden assets, everything that should be mine.
Beatrice, you can't let a man die for money.
I'm not going to let him die, but I'm not saving him until I get what's mine.
There was a long silence on the other end.
The USB worked. I'm getting password data. Give me 3 more days, and we'll have everything we need.
3 days, then we bring them both down.
As I lay in my narrow bed that night, listening to the restaurant below closing up, I thought about the woman I used to be, the trusting wife who signed papers without reading them, the woman who believed in loyalty and love. That woman was dead. Walter had killed her as surely as Tiffany was killing him. But from her ashes, something new had risen, something harder, something dangerous. Someone who knew that in a house of lies, the truth was the deadliest weapon of all. 3 days. Silas had said 3 days, but Walter was deteriorating faster than expected. I watched him across the breakfast table, noting the tremor in his hands, the gray pallor of his skin. Tiffany had increased whatever she was giving him.
I think I need to see a doctor. These headaches are getting worse.
You're just stressed, honey. The Peterson deal, the new acquisition. Once that's finalized, you'll feel better.
She rubbed his shoulders, playing the devoted wife. But I saw her check her phone, saw the small smile when she read a message from Derek.
Maybe you're right. I just need to push through.
He stood unsteadily, grabbing the table edge. For a moment, our eyes met. I saw fear there, real fear. The mighty Walter Hicks was scared. Part of me wanted to tell him. Part of me wanted to watch him suffer. I chose silence. That afternoon, while Tiffany was at her nail appointment and Walter dozed in his office, I met Silas at the public library. He'd chosen a corner table surrounded by tax law books as cover.
I've got everything. Passwords, accounts, the whole network. Beatrice, he's been stealing for years. Not just from you, from his business partners, from the company pension fund.
How much?
Total? Close to $8 million. Your share of the hidden marital assets alone would be around $4 million.
$4 million. I'd been living on ramen noodles while he had $4 million of my money.
But there's a problem. Some of these transfers happened last week. He's moving money. Fast. I think he's planning something.
Or Tiffany is. She might be setting up her exit strategy.
Silas pulled out a folder, sliding it across to me.
This is everything. Documented, verified, ready for the IRS. But Beatrice, once we submit this, there's no going back. Walter will know it was you.
Let him know. I want him to know.
And Tiffany, what about what she's doing?
I thought about it. Tiffany was a murderer in the making, but she was also my unwitting ally.
We use her. Walter's having his big investor party next week. That's when we strike. Public humiliation, just like he did to me in court.
That's dangerous. A room full of people.
A room full of witnesses. He can't deny anything with 100 people watching.
Back at the house, I found Walter in his study, head in his hands. He looked up when I entered with the vacuum.
Beatrice.
It had been months since he'd used my actual name.
Do you ever think about us? About what we had?
You're not feeling well, Mr. Hicks. Should I call your wife?
My wife. He laughed bitterly. She's 30 years old, B. What does a 30-year-old want with someone like me except money?
The irony was too rich. He was finally seeing what I'd seen all along.
I made a mistake, didn't I? With us, with everything.
For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost.
You made choices, Mr. Hicks. We all did.
I turned on the vacuum, ending the conversation. But I felt his eyes on me as I worked, saw him reach for his coffee cup with shaking hands, the cup Tiffany had prepared. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the party, about what would happen. I'd destroy Walter publicly, but what about Tiffany? She'd inherit everything if he died after. Unless she was exposed too. I called Silas.
I need you to look into someone named Derek, connected to Tiffany somehow.
Beatrice, it's midnight.
She's planning to kill Walter after she gets the insurance money. But what if Derek is more than just a boyfriend? What if he's part of the plan?
I'll see what I can find.
The next day brought a surprise. I was cleaning the guest bathroom when I heard Tiffany on the phone in the bedroom.
No, Derek, we stick to the plan. The party is perfect. All those people around and then he collapses. Food poisoning, they'll think. Or a heart attack. He's been complaining about feeling sick for weeks.
A pause.
The maid? She's nobody. A bitter old woman who barely speaks. After Walter's gone, I'll fire her immediately.
Another pause.
The insurance pays out $10 million, baby. $10 million. We can go anywhere, be anyone.
I slipped away before she could catch me, my mind racing. She was planning to kill him at the party, the same party where I planned to expose him. 2 days before the party, Silas had news.
Derek Morrison. He's a pharmaceutical rep. Has access to all kinds of drugs. And get this, he's been sued twice for insurance fraud.
They're in it together.
Beatrice, we have to go to the police now.
No, we do this my way.
I spent the next day preparing. I planted a small recorder in the flower arrangement that would sit on the main table. I made copies of everything, the financial documents, the photos of Tiffany's emails, even a sample of the powder I'd seen her put in Walter's coffee. The morning of the party, Walter could barely stand. Tiffany was all false concern.
Maybe we should cancel.
No, this deal is too important. I'll be fine.
She smiled, and I knew she was thinking about the insurance money. As I prepared the house for the party, setting out my grandmother's china, arranging flowers I'd once grown in my garden. I thought about justice. Real justice wasn't just about punishment. It was about truth. Tonight, everyone would know the truth. Silas arrived early, dressed as catering staff. We'd planned everything down to the minute. He had access to the sound system. I had access to everything else.
Are you ready for this?
I've been ready for months.
The guests began arriving at 7. Walter's business partners, investors, even the Petersons. Everyone who'd watched my humiliation would now witness his. I served drinks, invisible as always, but watching everything. I saw Tiffany slip something into Walter's champagne. I saw her check her phone, probably texting Derek. I saw Walter, gray-faced and sweating, trying to maintain his composure. At 8:30, Walter took the microphone to make his speech about the new acquisition. He looked terrible, swaying slightly, voice weak.
Thank you all for coming. Tonight marks a new chapter for Hicks Hardware.
That was my cue. I nodded to Silas. The lights flickered. Then Walter's voice filled the room. But not from him, from the speakers. Stupid woman never even knew I moved half our assets offshore 5 years ago. By the time the divorce went through, there was nothing left to split. Gasps from the crowd. Walter dropped the microphone, looking around wildly.
What is this?
More recordings played. His conversations about tax evasion, about cheating his partners, about hiding money. Then Tiffany's voice. 10 million in insurance, baby. After Walter's gone, we can go anywhere. Tiffany went white. She started toward the sound system, but I stepped in front of her, no longer invisible. Silas had called the police and the IRS. They arrived just as Walter collapsed, not from poison, but from shock. The paramedics said it was a panic attack. As they loaded Walter into the ambulance, with Tiffany in handcuffs and the IRS agents seizing documents, Patricia Peterson approached me.
Beatrice, I'm sorry for everything.
No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught on the wrong side.
I walked away from her, from all of them. My phone buzzed. A text from Silas. The IRS is freezing all assets pending investigation. Your lawyer says you'll get everything back, plus damages. Everything back, but could you really get back 35 years? As I stood in what had been my garden, looking at my dying roses, I realized the answer didn't matter. You couldn't go back. You could only go forward. And forward looked much brighter than it had 3 months ago. The party descended into chaos. Guests scattered like startled birds, some pulling out phones to record, others backing away from Walter as if his corruption might be contagious. Through it all, I stood perfectly still in my maid's uniform, no longer invisible, but blazingly present.
Turn it off, turn it off.
But Silas had locked the sound system. Walter's confessions continued to pour out, each word another nail in his coffin. His business partners looked murderous. The investors were already heading for the door. Detective Morrison arrived with the police, no relation to Derek, thankfully. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes who took in the scene with professional calm.
Mrs. Hicks, you're under arrest for attempted murder. You have the right to remain silent.
This is insane. I haven't done anything. It's her, the maid. She's setting me up.
Tiffany pointed at me, her perfect composure finally cracking. Mascara ran down her cheeks as the handcuffs clicked.
Ma'am, we have evidence of poison purchased under your name, and Mr. Derek Morrison is already in custody. He's been very cooperative.
Of course he had. Rats always flee sinking ships. Walter tried to stand from where the paramedics had sat him, oxygen mask over his face.
Beatrice, you did this. You destroyed everything.
No, Walter, you destroyed everything. I just made sure everyone could see it.
James Peterson pushed through the crowd, his face red with rage.
You've been stealing from the pension fund, my retirement, my employees' futures.
James, I can explain.
The punch came fast. Walter went down hard, the oxygen mask flying off. The police had to restrain James while the paramedics helped Walter back up. IRS agent Sarah Chen approached me with a tablet.
Mrs. Miller, we'll need you to come to the office tomorrow for a full statement. Based on the evidence Mr. Blackwood provided, you appear to be a victim of significant financial fraud.
I'll be there.
One more thing. The whistleblower provision in tax fraud cases, you could be entitled to a significant percentage of recovered funds.
I hadn't known about that. Silas, standing by the kitchen door, gave me a small smile. He'd known. As the police led Tiffany away, she turned back one last time.
You think you've won? You're still nothing. A pathetic old woman who cleans toilets.
Maybe, but I'm a pathetic old woman who's not going to prison.
The party emptied quickly after that. Walter was taken to the hospital for observation. The poisoning had done real damage, though not fatal. The IRS agents boxed up documents from his study. Crime scene tape went up across the door of what had been my home. I found myself alone in the garden with Silas. My roses were dead, brown petals scattered on the ground.
How do you feel?
Empty. I thought I'd feel triumphant, but I just feel empty.
That's normal. Revenge rarely feels as good as we imagine.
Was it revenge or justice?
Maybe both. Does it matter?
I picked up a dead rose, the thorns still sharp despite the withered bloom.
35 years, Silas. I gave him 35 years.
And now you have the rest of your years for yourself.
Patricia Peterson appeared in the garden doorway, hesitant.
Beatrice, can we talk?
There's nothing to talk about, Patricia.
Please, I know I was horrible. I was afraid. Walter held our business loans. If I'd stood up for you...
You'd have done the right thing, but you didn't.
She started crying, but I felt nothing. My capacity for caring about the tears of people who'd betrayed me had died months ago.
I have something for you.
She held out an envelope.
It's from the neighborhood association. We took a vote. The house, when it's released from evidence, we want you to have the right of first refusal to buy it back, at market value from 3 years ago, before the renovations.
I took the envelope but didn't open it.
Guilt is a powerful motivator, isn't it?
It's not just guilt, it's... we were wrong. All of us. We let Walter convince us you were nothing, and we went along with it because it was easier than standing up to him.
She left, and I stood there holding the envelope. My house. I could have my house back, but did I want it? This place full of ghosts and betrayals? My phone rang. My lawyer?
Beatrice, I've been contacted by the prosecutors. With the evidence you've provided, they're freezing all of Walter's assets immediately. The hidden accounts, the properties, everything.
How long until I can access my share?
Given the circumstances, I can petition for an emergency release of funds. Maybe a month? And Beatrice, with the IRS whistleblower provision, you're looking at potentially 15 to 30% of the recovered tax fraud. That could be over $1 million.
$1 million? Plus my rightful share of the marital assets. After months of choosing between food and medication, I'd have more money than I'd ever dreamed. But money hadn't been the point. Not really. The next morning, I went to see Walter in the hospital. He was handcuffed to the bed, 2 federal marshals outside his door. The poison had damaged his liver, turned his skin yellow. He looked old, older than his years.
Come to gloat?
No, to say goodbye.
I could have killed you, you know. When I figured out what you were doing, I could have made it look like an accident.
But you didn't figure it out. Because you never really saw me. Not in 35 years of marriage, not in 3 months of me cleaning your house. I was always invisible to you.
I saw you. I just stopped caring.
The honesty was brutal, but somehow cleaner than all his lies.
When did it happen? When did you stop loving me?
I don't know. Maybe when the business started growing. Maybe when you stopped being useful. Does it matter?
No, not anymore.
I turned to leave, then stopped.
Tiffany was poisoning you, slowly. She wanted the insurance money.
I know. The police told me.
I could have let her finish.
Why didn't you?
Because I'm not like you. I'm not like either of you.
I left him there, yellow and bitter in his hospital bed, facing decades in prison for tax evasion, fraud, and embezzlement. Tiffany would get even longer for attempted murder. Derek had pled down to conspiracy in exchange for testimony. Justice or revenge or both. That afternoon, I met Silas at the diner where it had all started. He looked younger somehow, energized by our success.
The FBI wants to hire me as a consultant to help unravel Walter's financial web.
That's wonderful. You deserve it.
What about you? What will you do now?
I thought about it. For the first time in months, I had choices.
You could buy the house back.
No, that house belongs to someone I used to be. I need something new, something that's just mine.
We sat in comfortable silence, two old warriors who'd won an unlikely battle.
Beatrice, what you did, recording everything, gathering evidence, staying strong even when they tried to break you. It was incredible.
I was invisible. Being invisible has its advantages.
You're not invisible anymore.
He was right. For the first time in years, maybe decades, I felt seen. Not as someone's wife, not as the help, but as myself. Beatrice Miller, survivor, fighter, winner, the woman who'd brought down an empire with a mop and a notebook. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. Lawyers, statements, court appearances. But tonight, I'd sleep in my small room above the Chinese restaurant one last time, and I'd sleep peacefully. Because the ghosts were gone, the lies were exposed, and I was finally, truly free. 6 months later, I stood in the doorway of my new apartment, boxes stacked around me. It wasn't large, a 2-bedroom in a quiet building downtown, but it was mine. Every wall, every window, every square foot belonged to me alone. The IRS had been generous, more than generous. The whistleblower payment came to $1.8 million. Combined with my recovered marital assets, I had more money than I'd ever need. But money, I'd learned, was just numbers in an account. Security, peace, freedom. Those were priceless. My phone rang. Silas.
How's the move going?
Almost done. The furniture arrives tomorrow.
I have news. Walter took a plea deal. 20 years, with possibility of parole in 12.
20 years. He'd be nearly 80 when he got out, if he lived that long.
And Tiffany?
25 to life for attempted murder. Derek got 10 years.
Justice. It had taken everything from them, just as they tried to take everything from me.
There's something else. The FBI wants to know if you'd consider consulting. Your forensic accounting skills, the way you documented everything. They're impressed.
Me? I'm 58 years old.
So, I'm 71 and having the time of my life. Think about it.
After he hung up, I unpacked my grandmother's china, one of the few things I'd fought to get back. As I arranged each piece in my new cabinet, I thought about cycles, about patterns. My grandmother had been a strong woman, widowed young, who'd built her own life. Maybe strength skipped a generation. Maybe it just took time to find. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Patricia Peterson stood there with a plant, a small rose bush in a ceramic pot.
It's from your old garden. I saved some cuttings before they died. I've been growing this for you.
I took the pot, surprised to feel tears threatening. The roses were small but healthy, new growth on old roots.
Thank you.
Beatrice, I know you'll never forgive me, and I don't expect you to, but I want you to know that what happened changed me, changed all of us. We started a fund for women like you, women who've been financially abused in divorce. It's not enough, but
It's a start.
She left, and I set the rose on my balcony where it would get morning sun. New growth on old roots. Maybe that's all any of us could hope for. That evening, I attended my first class at the community college, Introduction to Criminal Justice. The professor was younger than my daughter would have been, had Walter and I had children. The other students looked at me curiously. a gray-haired woman among fresh-faced 20-somethings.
Let's start with introductions. Tell us your name and why you're interested in criminal justice.
When my turn came, I stood.
I'm Beatrice Miller. I'm here because I recently learned that justice isn't something that happens to you. It's something you make happen.
A few students nodded. One, a young woman with purple hair, smiled at me. After class, she approached.
Ms. Miller, I read about your case in the paper. What you did was amazing.
What I did was survive.
No, you did more than that. You fought back. My mom, she's going through something similar. Her ex hid all their money. She feels so helpless.
I pulled out a card. My new card, with my new phone number, and the simple title, Financial Justice Consultant.
Have her call me. Maybe I can help.
Walking home, I passed the Riverside Diner where Silas and I had planned our campaign. Through the window, I saw him at our old booth, but he wasn't alone. A woman about our age sat across from him, laughing at something he'd said. He looked happy, lighter. I didn't go in. Some moments deserve their privacy. Back in my apartment, I made myself dinner. Real food, not ramen. Salmon with asparagus, a glass of good wine. I could afford it now. More importantly, I felt I deserved it. The news was on, a follow-up story about Walter's case. They showed footage of him being led into court in an orange jumpsuit, looking frail and defeated. The reporter called it the biggest financial fraud case in the state's history. I turned it off. That chapter was closed. My laptop sat open on the coffee table, showing emails from 3 women who'd read about my story and needed help. Women whose husbands had hidden assets, manipulated the system, left them with nothing. I couldn't help them all, but I could try. Because that's what invisible women do. We see what others miss. We document what others ignore. We survive what others think would break us. And sometimes we win. The phone rang again, an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up.
Mrs. Miller, this is Janet Walsh from the State Attorney's Office. We've been following your case, and we have a proposition. We're starting a task force on financial crimes in divorce proceedings. We need someone who understands both sides, the victim's experience and the forensic investigation. Would you be interested in heading it?
Head a task force. Me, who 6 months ago was cleaning toilets for my ex-husband.
Can I think about it?
Of course. But Mrs. Miller, you'd be perfect for this. You've lived it.
After she hung up, I sat in my new living room, in my new life, contemplating my new future. Outside, the city lights twinkled like possibilities. I was 58 years old, starting over, and somehow that didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a beginning. I thought about Walter, alone in his cell, about Tiffany, facing decades behind bars, about Derek, who'd turned on her to save himself. They'd all thought they were so clever, so untouchable, but they'd forgotten about the invisible woman, the one who cleaned their messes, who heard their secrets, who remembered everything. My grandmother's china caught the light from the lamp, gleaming in its new cabinet. On the balcony, the rescued rose had opened its first bloom. Small but perfect, a promise of more to come. I opened my laptop and began typing a response to the first woman who'd asked for help. Her story was painfully familiar. A 55-year-old teacher whose husband, a banker, had hidden assets in cryptocurrency and offshore accounts. Dear Martha, I understand what you're going through. Let's start with what you know and what you can access. Document everything, no matter how small it seems. The devil and the justice is in the details. As I typed, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Purpose, not as someone's wife, not as someone's victim, but as myself. Beatrice Miller, survivor, fighter, teacher, the woman who'd been invisible and used it to see everything. The woman who'd lost everything and found herself. The woman who'd learned that the best revenge isn't just living well, it's helping others live well too. My name is Beatrice Miller. I'm 58 years old. I survived betrayal, poverty, and humiliation. I brought down a corrupt man and exposed a would-be murderer. I recovered millions in hidden assets, and my story is just beginning.
Thank you for listening to this complete audiobook. If this story touched you, please subscribe and like this video to support more quality audiobook content. Share your thoughts in the comments, we read every single one. Hit the bell for notifications about our next story. See you in the next audiobook.